Talks. In today's Talk, we have Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja, a pioneering force in India's clean biomass and biofuel renewable energy landscape. With an impressive track record as the chairman and managing director of Prel, he has established himself as a key leader and influencer in creating sustainable value chains, specifically within the bioenergy and biomass sectors. In his role as chairman of CBEII, he is actively working on initiatives to solve critical issues around the paddy straw supply chain. Efforts has been recognized by his appointment to a government committee under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. His work goes beyond India's borders too. He recently presented Project 42 to the Prime Minister's office, where it was positively received and integrated as a significant element in India's sustainability and bioenergy roadmap. Adding to this, adding to his remarkable list of accomplishments, Lieutenant Colonel Ahuja has been nominated by the National Security Council Secretariat to participate in the prestigious International Strategic Engagement Program at the National Defense College. So, as we dive into today's interesting discussion with Mr. Ahuja, I would like to inform the audience that our speaker will be taking the questions from you after the main talk. So please leave your questions in the chat box or use raise hand tool. We will allow you to ask your questions in person. And I request everyone to turn on your webcams for interactive activities. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja to share his insights and expertise with us today. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Radhika. Good morning to all the participants here on Zoom and through the YouTube live link. Jai Hind, good morning. I am Lieutenant Colonel Monish Ahuja, and it's a pleasure to be invited and to be presenting today at the Vishwa Talks. I think, the work which I have learned about what the Vishwa organization is doing is really heartwarming. I must felicitate the participants here to be there on a Saturday morning, and also to the team at Vishwa for the work that you all are doing. And rightfully said, the dissemination of knowledge is the first step to taking it towards the right direction. Radhika, if you can just play the short video, I think it's about a 3-4 minute video, which will give a perspective of what we are going to talk about today. Request you to please do that.
Sure, sir.
So this is a short video of what we do with the farm agri residue. It gives you the entire ambit of operations that my company Prel works with. And today there are many more companies like Prel which have come up, which are doing similar kind of work. Radhika, thank you for that. Allow me to share my screen with the presentation.
Yeah, we can see your screens.
Thank you so much. Okay, again, good afternoon. And the mandate or the takeaway from these talks have been defined in the flyers and collaterals which have been shared. And the intent here is to make it interactive and not kind of a monologue from my side. So, what I intend to do is present in terms of the work or the build-up of the work that we do in Prespel. And more importantly, that is a use case for the biomass-bioenergy sector, because today this is one of the most promising renewable energy sustainable sectors within India and globally. And I say so because with the biggest takeaway of India's G20 presidency being the formation of the Global Biofuel Alliance. And if we take that as the biggest takeaway, where all the heads of states signed up and countries India, US, and Brazil were the three founding partners of the Global Biofuel Alliance. This is going to be one of the most cleaner and sustainable forms of energy that we are using today and will continue to use and grow in the decades to come ahead. Now, if we look at the renewable energy basket, and if you look at the energy basket at large, about 18 to 20% specific to India. And this number is slightly increasing because we are going to catch up with the advanced countries. And we will go to about a 23 to 25% is the electricity market. So in that energy basket, about 23 to 25% will be the electricity market. And all that we continue to do presently under the government's program of renewable energy predominantly has been the 202 gigawatts, which is already established, and the target of 500 gigawatt electric that we are moving towards in this electricity segment. So the reason to bring these statistical numbers out is whatever we continue to do, and we will go to that 500 gigawatt electric mark, we will still be in the 25% of the energy or the electricity market. So what happens, or where is the balance 75% of the energy? And that balance 75% of the energy is in cooking, heating, cooling, transportation, which is land, sea, and air. The hard to abate sectors like steel, cement, or the industrial use is where that balance 75% of that energy basket is. And hence, if we have to decarbonize energy, if we have to move towards our net zero target, if we have to have cleaner forms of energy, the focus rightfully is shifting to that 75% of energy basket. And this is not to take away the decarbonization of the 25% by solar, wind, hydro, nuclear to come, and so on and so forth. So that being the genesis, if we have to address the 75%, what is it that we need to do? And that's where the biomass bioenergy is going to play the most predominant role. Just a snapshot of our journey, and why I show this slide at the first is to give you a flavor of, in about 13 to 14 years, how few bunch of ex-defense forces personals have set out to do a commercial business activity around sustainability with energy resource which is rural to urban, which is from a waste stream, which is farm agricultural residue waste, which the farmers typically burn after the harvest, not having any economic value. And that's where we have started putting processes, we have started putting in methodologies where we are able to take that to various forms of energy. And this biomass supply chain management or the upstream segment of the energy business basket is the mainstay of sustainable bioenergy. So we started off as a biomass supply chain management company, and with opportunities coming by, we have forward integrated where we also are able to use this farm agri residue for energy and deliver it to clients. And in our journey, we have been, fortunate to be able to get marquee names as investor shareholders going forward. Okay, so what do we do? We are a full stack company, and we are one of the only horizontally integrated company in the entire bioenergy basket. And that's because of our strength of actually starting from the bottom of the pyramid, which is the supply chain management or the feedstock for input here. Now, just a parallel analogy, if you look at the oil sector, the largest oil sector company or the public PSU in India is ONGC, and it specifically works in the upstream segment where it sources the crude or it brings the crude out. Then you look at the midstream segment where you have the refining companies and the oil marketing companies bringing the product downstream to the market. So if we use the same parallel with the biomass bioenergy sector, then the biomass supply chain management on the upstream side is going to become the mainstay of this particular segment of industrialization that we are going to see. Then comes the midstream segment of technology, where how do you convert it to various forms of energy, which is how we are seeing the advancements happening. And then the markets, then the market development where the downstream segment would kind of be developing to a replacement of fossil fuels. We have a pan-India presence. We are in 21 states in India today, and our spread is actually with offtake by a client. So wherever we are, we have third-party client energy offtake, and that is why our spread, with clients and repeat values of clients is spreading across India or is spread across India. We've also moved international now. We are in few African countries where we have started doing projects. And, the takeaway here is the model is highly replicable. Once you have trained the farmer community, our ex-servicemen community, then working in a Punjab and then going and working in Andhra Pradesh is like going and working in a separate country. So we can take it to Africa and work there. We take it to the east and northeast and work there. So the diversity in India and the model having got replicated multiple times over in India is easy for us to take it to any other country and replicate it there. And that's exactly what we are seeing, what is happening now. So we have a strong board, represented by independent directors of repute and investor shareholders. We also had our other investor shareholders who have now exited or taken exits in their, business way forward. And thereby, this is where our board is today. So it's a process where an unorganized sector, a farming agri-residue related sector, we have taken into a corporatized world. And that's the takeaway, right? So you need to build processes where you are able to make an informal sector into a formal sector which attracts value, which attracts business proposition, which has integration right from farm to your energy basket, and which has a corporatization done wherein the corporate culture of working needs to get imbibed. And that's where this large scale is now starting to come. We did mention Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan at the end of the video you saw. Most of our top hierarchy management, the key management personnel, are all ex-defense forces. It's not so by design. It's just happened to be so because we find synergies of thought process coming in, and that's how we are structured. Now, this is the mainstay of the model, the farmer. And the farmer is who we coin and we convert into a village level entrepreneur. We empower this farmer to be able to bring that farm agri residue out of the field after the harvest cycle. So once the harvest is done and the produce, it could be rice, it could be wheat, it could be cotton, corn, lentils, chili stalks, corn cob, corn stover, etc. More than 35, 36 varieties of agriculture crops are done. Once the farmer gets a value for the produce, the balance of the plant is of no economic value to the farmer. And what does the farmer do? They burn it in the fields. Now, we keep talking about Delhi going black, and, even now that scenario is there. But just as a statistical data, per square kilometer, the number of farm fires, the highest density in India, state of Punjab. The number two state is Madhya Pradesh. We don't even talk about it. The number three, number four states are Bihar, are the high agri and economy states. We don't talk about it. Why do we talk only about Delhi going black? Because it's a media which picks it up. We have all embassies in Delhi. We have the government out of Delhi. So we talk about Delhi going black for 15 years, 15 days in a year. But what about the other farmers? So it's a common phenomena for the farming community for disposal of that plant which is left to burn it, either in the fields or remove it and outside their fields, thereby continuing to cause high level of PM 2.5 particulate matter pollution. And it's a major cause of health concern across India and globally as well. And that's where this farming community we engage with to create these village level entrepreneurs. There's nothing but youth over there who's willing to do something more than only, agriculture. And we empower them by, training them, providing them post harvest farming equipment, which is typical to the type of agriculture practice they do, and creating now collection centers, warehousing, where they can do this work as a VLE along with their peers, in their villages, in their talukas, bring this farm agri residue out to a warehousing which is established by a Prel, and deliver this farm agri residue as per protocol, quality, quantity. And at that point of time, by weight, you get a slip which is now actual money. And basis that, the next day you get a SMS on your phone that there is a credit for the performance that you have done in delivering X metric tons quantity of such farm agri residue. So it's a inclusion model, it's a bhagidari model where this farmer village level entrepreneur becomes the mainstay of the supply chain management upstream. Now, once we have this actual paid for stock in our warehouses or collection centers, this is the new oil. This is the new coal. This is the new energy. And this is the new carbon. Now, let me give you another example of carbon. We need energy. We cannot be devoid of the expansion of energy that we need for industrialization, for our uses, for being a growing economy, and thereby saying that, stop using fossil fuel, in some sense, is not going to happen. So we need to be able to cater for newer forms of energy, which are less polluting or nil in pollution, which are carbon neutral. And what is actually happening in the usage of crude coal and natural gas? The carbon which has been captured from the atmosphere over centuries and embedded in the Earth's crust is what we remove and utilize it for our energy need. And look at what is happening with this farmer integration. Where is the carbon coming from? Atmosphere, photosynthesis, our grade 5, grade 6 education. CO2 in the 4 to 6 months of the farming agriculture practice, the carbon which is sequestered and captured, and it's a definable number per acre or per hectare of land of, let's say, a rice paddy straw, how much of carbon it would sequester, or let's take how much corn would sequester or cotton would sequester. And that's the carbon which we are using now for the newer generation of biofuels energy. So we are using carbon. But in effect, it is net carbon zero or carbon neutral because we are taking the atmospheric carbon, using that in a short duration of 4 to 6 months for the energy need, and putting that a subset of that back into the atmosphere. Whereas with fossil fuel, the carbon which over centuries has been captured is being taken out and put back into the atmosphere. And today, what are we saying? And today, where are we moving towards? We are saying we need to do carbon capture, storage, utilization. Capture all the carbon from the atmosphere and put it back into the Earth's crust. But where will the energy come from? So that's where biomass-bioenergy is a alternative, is a transition alternative where we are able to do all our energy needs as it is required with the technological advancements which have come in, and not take out that carbon atom from the Earth's crust for our energy use. And that's where, as I said, this is the new oil. Okay, look at the landscape that we deal with. And what does this show? This shows that there is a paradigm shift for industries to be looking at cleaner fuels and also cost-effective fuels. So this is actually more cost-effective, and to be moving away from use of fossil fuel carbon. And this is only expanding. We are working with the cement sector for decarbonization of the cement sector. You name the cement company that we are tied up with. We are also working now with the steel companies, and again for decarbonization of the steel sector. So the hard to abate energy sectors of cement and steel are moving towards use of farm agri residue biomass in a big way. So what's the mainstay? And I spoke about it, and I'm coming back to this because this is the mainstay of any biomass-bioenergy plant. And you look at the top two photographs. You look at this gentleman with this green gamcha on his shoulder. This is in Haveri in Karnataka. By being associated with Prel, in 18 months, he has bought a second-hand car and two new tractors that you see in the photograph. So what is this? This is around a agri-residue waste stream, creation of economic models which are sustainable, which are replicable, and also a creation of a shared wealth model, an equitable model of sharing, so that the entire value chain is kind of rising up, is getting money into their bank accounts by replacing fossil fuel energy. So, we need to invest in equipment based on the type of farm agri residue that you're going to work with. Straw varieties, stock varieties, lentils, corn cob, corn stover, each of it will require a different type of post-harvest farming equipment. And that's what we invest in. And this is something which, as a density or population density of post-harvest farming equipment across India is going up, because the use case economic model for this is coming up. And hence, farmers, farmer producer organizations, FPOs, companies like ours, many more coming up, new startups, technology plays, platforms for biomass, bioenergy trading, all of it is happening across India. And it's a complete, wave of this new form of energy catching up. And this is where the value creation is now starting to happen. Government is also supporting. We'll talk about it as we move ahead. And when you start going to rural areas, you would get biomass, all shapes and forms coming to us. You need to be participative to, accept it. Now you need to store it. And thereby the storage of that energy becomes a critical part. This is something which is developing and needs much more attention and focus, because ultimately whatever you see here on the photograph is actually money. It is paid for stock. And thereby we need to move into better warehousing, better storage facilities, create infrastructure in rural parts, so that, like grain is a commodity, farm agri residue also becomes a commodity with that value. And thereby new things like warehouse financing, commodity financing around agri residue waste stream is coming up and needs to further get developed. These are interim storages which we do so that we are able to deliver to our client energy 24/7, 365 days in a year. So you actually need to do a complete integrated supply chain model development, so that post-harvest what is available, let's say for 30 to 45 days, you are able to aggregate it, store it, densify it for better storage and transportation as and when required, and create a linkage with the offtake where it is going to get utilized. And that's exactly what we do as in fully integrated model. Now look at where we are moving towards. Using this farm agri residue to produce second generation ethanol, to produce compressed biogas, to produce sustainable aviation fuel. And all the large oil marketing companies, corporates have now joined this bandwagon of new business economic models. So for us uniquely, we also densify this biomass. In our journey, we realized that the low density agriculture residue that we aggregate can move only about 40-50 kilometers. Beyond that, it's not economically viable to move it and use for replacement of energy. Commercial constraints are paramount. Industry would say, why would I replace to something, it's green, good, but if my cost goes up, I don't want to do it. And that's where we found a solution where densifying it into briquettes and pellets now allows us for better storage and transportation and still compete with replacement of fossil fuel. So we are across India. We use all types of local farm agri residue. We have designed equipment to be able to use that. We densify it into briquettes and then move it to client sites for energy conversion. Again, this means industrialization happening in rural India. This means reverse migration. Actually, now people don't need to move from villages for skilled jobs or technical jobs to cities, but you are actually setting up industry linked with agriculture, which is the mainstay of the Indian economy, and providing skilled technical jobs in rural parts. And around this, we have worked with the Skill Council for Green Jobs. So today there are 13 skills which are accredited and they have certification from Government of India for the value chain or supply chain management that I have just spoken about. And hence you can skill yourself, you can get that certificate, and based on that, you can get such jobs in rural parts of the country. Now, all this that you see is typically, I would say, low tech. There is some technology involved, but it is still not high tech where you need to do large scale R&D around it. You have a commodity as agriculture residue. You are able to compress it and densify it. You can bag it, store it, you can open store it. And this becomes a replacement value for the thermal value. So you're actually replacing coal, furnace oil, LDO, diesel in some cases, where for the thermal value, it is being burned. And hence here it is the burn value of biomass that we are looking at. Now, where do we burn it? And where do we use it? So these are all industrial scale boilers. So this is the sweet spot. We found this sweet spot because in a decentralized manner, every industry has their own boiler, which is the industrial boiler based on, again, fossil fuels. And they use it for industrial steam, heating, cooling purposes. And that's where we found a market where we said we can take this biomass to this industrial boiler, replace the industrial boiler with a new high efficiency 100% biomass based boiler, and supply these farm agri residue briquettes or pellets or in a loose form to such industrial boiler and generate this renewable and supply it to this industry. And that brought another element of a forward integration for us, where we started doing operation and maintenance services for such industrial boilers because it's a utility. The industry would tell us, why should I, waste time in replacing my boiler or running my boiler? My focus is pharmaceutical, FMCG, breweries, tanneries, milk products, and I need to focus there. So I should be able to buy utility, buy electricity, buy water, buy my steam. And we found merit in that. So we started providing utility services of energy for utilizing that biomass in industrial boilers. And these are few of the examples where we operate such boilers 24/7. Now look at this landscape of when we started in 2013 and where we are heading towards. And this gives you a sense of decarbonization, scope 1 decarbonization within industries, where we are replacing or continuing to grow to replace fossil fuel. And it's not only us, we are one of them. Yes, we were one of the earliest starters, but large corporates like Thermax, Berkeley Energy, so many of them are today in this segment. And it's a healthy, competitive market which has grown for industrial steam as a product. Now, a word here. We report our SDGs in terms of the carbon abatement, and we also report in terms of gigawatt electric. But yet, we are not reporting gigawatt thermal. And this is all thermal replacement which is happening. So we are engaged with government, and government acknowledges this statement that we also need to start reporting gigawatt thermal, because that's also a significant quantum of decarbonization that India is doing and achieving. Again, mention here, there is no government subsidy, there is no government, I would say, benefits for doing such a project. It is commercially viable to replace fossil fuel. So if it is good, it is cleaner, it is commercially viable, then why not, promulgate it and do more of it? And that's what is exactly happening now. Okay, so these are, some photographs of the boilers, and these are large boilers. These are not small boilers by size. The van standing there will give you a kind of semblance of what scale and size these boilers are. Again, these are absolutely clean. It's a fallacy to think and say that, biomass-based boilers could be dirty or no. Not at all. These are absolutely clean, state-of-the-art. You build such boilers, state-of-the-art, highly mechanized. In the entire boiler, in a shift of 8 hours, we have only 4 people there in the control room. You don't need to see anybody. There's nobody required. All automatic, high pressure, medium pressure boilers. And the carbon ash which is available, so we don't mix anything, so it's pure carbon ash. This is either taken to paver blocks or goes back to the farms for topsoil carbon regeneration. So it's a complete circular carbon loop of that carbon atom, which you can actually now monitor. You can tokenize it from the carbon sequester of photosynthesis till the energy usage and the residual carbon where it is going back. So it's a complete loop that we track and also report. Now, when you go to rural India, to start developing and start corporatizing as we are growing and doing, you need to start bringing EHS standards. Environment, health, safety, social security. These are all buzzwords, but how do you start implementing it? And that's where, the military training of Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, Jai Vigyan, that is what we actually implement on ground. And once that starts happening as a process, with passage of time, it becomes the way of life. Otherwise, very difficult in rural India to start going and telling people start wearing helmets, start wearing boots, start wearing goggles and masks. And then only you can enter my plant to work. The labor doesn't live by those norms. But if you need to start doing things in the right way, then these are processes you need to build up. And with each passing day, we keep improving on them. And then it becomes a norm. After a couple of years, it's a standard operating procedure. And these become the norm of industrialization to take to rural parts. Some more photographs of our boilers, and these are all our plants. These are not Google photographs which are being shown. So another thing, what we do, we build all our projects on our own. So right from day one, right from the concept to bringing it to paper, drawing board, engineering, then doing the EPC, the engineering, procurement, construction, the project management, consultancy, all of it is done in-house. And the reason there is, it's not one-off. We are in this business to grow it. Our philosophy and genesis is that we need to get our hands dirty. Bottom up, we need to build it stack by stack. And thereby, nobody will have more ownership of the asset than the people who are building it in the rural parts. So they actually have that bhagidari ki ye mera plant hai. This is my plant. I have built it. I have seen it brick by brick being built. And that's the ownership. Once we have built it, it is there for them to run it. We are only doing a management service around it. The farmer is bringing, or the VLE is bringing the biomass. The people who have got technically trained there are locals. They are working and running those plants. It's just that the ownership is lying in my book sitting in Bombay. So what? They actually resonate with such assets in their geographical areas, that hey, this is something which is mine. And that's what is the genesis to actually build and scale the way we are doing. Now, this is one of the unique projects where we said, and this was our first one, why do we need to densify? If I can use farm agri residue in the form it is, because in densification, I'm not adding anything into it. All I'm doing is densifying it so that I can store and transport. But if within a radius of 40, 50 kilometers, I can use it in the form that it is available, then I'm significantly able to reduce that cost of energy. And this is what we did with our first project. And once we did this, or once we went to establish this, actually the boiler manufacturer told us we will not be able to do it because we have not done it anywhere globally. And being, from a technical bent of mind, I said, what's changing? Why can't we do it? And we pushed ourselves and the boiler manufacturer, and they did not give us the requisite guarantee warranties of performance. And with the first project, very difficult to do such kind of a thing. But we stuck our neck out. We said we will do it. And this is operating now more than 5 years continuously without any problem. So we actually, did groundbreaking on 9th April 2019. We commissioned the plant on 20th March 20, and to all our good luck, 24th March was the nationwide lockdown. And here goes your first project where everything is pinned hopes upon. But because of the decentralized energy model, because of the biomass being available, in this case, we had already aggregated it in the months of September, October, November. We were able to operate this asset, in fact, at an increased capacity, at a full capacity, all through COVID without a single day of shutdown. And that actually changed a mindset thinking for me personally as well. The fallacy that I run my company, or, if I am not there, what will happen? Or if, let's say, ABCD individual is not there, what will happen? Changed. Everything happens if you are able to give responsibility, if you are able to give the ownership. And thus, in our model today, we are, as I said, across 21 states. It's so decentralized, but the processes of the training that is given, the individuals who are there, they have their ownership and they independently run each of our assets. Yes, it gets audited. There are processes of feedback, reporting, all of that happens on a daily basis, but the ownership resides where it is actually is. So this is how we actually construct plants. These are large plants, heavy duty equipment also gets involved. Now this is the flow. So actually from the fuel storage to feeding it to moving through boiler furnaces, control room, you have to meet the pollution control board norms. Typically this is between 50 to 30 ppm in terms of the particulate matter that you can send out of your chimney. And it is 24/7 direct feed monitored by the pollution control board department. So these are actually highly efficient, clean boilers which are running. Now, if you are providing energy services, and this is again a shift, you look at the solar energy services model where you put a rooftop solar or somebody invests and you are able to provide those energy services. This is the shift now. We are providing energy services in the steam market, or let's say in the biofuel market, and hence we are ESCO graded. We are BE grade 2 plus now, actually, apologies, this needs to be updated, and which is one of the highest ESCO gradings in India. And you know what that allowed? Such a ESCO grading allowed us to source DFI capital, energy efficiency capital. So we have World Bank, SIDBI participating for providing the term loans. And this is at a concessional rate because of the energy efficiency of these projects. Again, use case, we have biomass, we have briquettes. During COVID time, we saw there were, multiple bodies being cremated, or, was done on single cremation pyres. Wood was not available. the horror stories, India Today carried the cover where it was a horror story of not being able to provide cremation to the dead. And I said, as a society, where are we and what are we doing? And that's where we said we have briquettes available. We burn these in boilers. Why can't we do cremation based on briquettes? And we offered these briquettes to Pune Municipal Corporation and Aurangabad Municipal Corporation. They did accept it. And it was sent to them in few trucks and we received permissions. But they could not use it effectively because in India, and that's where I also learned and we started learning, the cremation pits are open pit. And so they could not place these briquettes. So, in some format, whatever it was used. And that's where we said it's simple. So we today, the photograph that you see, these are cremation pyres which we invest in and we put across crematoriums across India. And you look at the list of cities and this is growing very fast. There are maybe, 3 times more this number today. And then we replace wood from Hindu cremation. Now, the sentiment of the societal, sentiment is Agni Moksha. They want the cremation to be done by burning. There are alternatives. You have electric crematoriums, you have gas crematoriums. But if you look at data, all of it or most of it is continuing to happen, and this is upwards of 90% in terms of numbers, is happening on wood. And then we questioned, we said, how is this wood sourced? So the wood is sourced by the urban local bodies, the municipal corporations, by way of tenders. And there are wood vendors who participate in these tenders and they get, the tender. And what is the tender? The tender is that per cremation, the wood has to be provided by a wood vendor at 4,000 or 4,500 rupees per cremation. And typically for a cremation, when you go to a cremation ground, you get based on the death certificate of parchi, and you go to the wood vendor and you get between 300 to 400 kgs of wood, which you need to now carry to this cremation pit to perform the cremation or the final rites. And that's the model. And to our, utmost shock, there is a value of tree in India by the Honorable Supreme Court's judgment, which says the life of a tree or the value of the tree in India is 74,500 rupees per year into the life or estimated life of that tree. So that means for each Hindu cremation, typically we are burning down 10 years of tree life, which is 7.5 lakh rupees of a national asset at 4,000 or 4,500 rupees. Why? It's your and mine asset. It's a national asset at a price point of what working has been done by Honorable Supreme Court through various committees, and there's an order over there. But through urban local bodies, we still continue to do cremation at 4,000 or 4,500 rupees, burning 7.5 lakh rupees of national asset. And we questioned this, and there are no answers. But in terms of the answers, what we do today, we build such cremation pyres through tenders and then supply these briquettes to these crematoriums to replace wood. And a use case of Aurangabad, if you see the data which is there, we started putting out data from November 2022, but we started before that, so it started from zero actually. And at April 24, 93% of the entire Hindu cremation in Aurangabad is on biomass briquettes. We have moved away and replaced wood. And today this number is consistently above 92, 93% month on month. So what have we achieved? A full societal change. And nobody has been forced. Even today, if somebody wants to go into a cremation ground and some family says, cremation to be done on wood, unfortunately, the wood is replaced. But otherwise, the option is there with the family. So why I'm bringing this case is, now look at the commercial side of it. When I sell briquettes to a boiler or when I use it in the boiler, is in the range of 8 to 9 rupees per kg. But in a D2C segment, where it is going for cremation, because it is further bagged, stored, multiple locations, you are delivering it. And this data is for 38 cremation grounds in Aurangabad. This is not one cremation ground. Every cremation pyre. You realize between 10 to 12 rupees. Now, the municipal corporation, which was paying 4,500 rupees per cremation, because this is more densified, this is more, in a shape and form, in a cage, better oxygen flow, etc., is actually paying 3,000 rupees per cremation. A 40% reduction in the outgo from the municipal corporation. And now look at the carbon sink. 2 trees saved per cremation. As on date, we have done about 7,500 plus cremations. Look at the data of the number of trees which have been saved. So this is something again which we have taken as a mandate, and now these tenders are happening across India, and as a use case you are using this farm agri residue for Hindu cremation, and you look at the government scheme, a maa ke naam paid, 1 crore trees planted in a day, etc., etc. And look at our data where with every Hindu cremation we cut down 2 trees. Unsustainable. So changes need to be brought in a systematic manner. And there are cases, we are showing cases as now. Similarly, these are products which we have developed, and this is the R&D side of our business, where these are ergonomic eco chulas which have been developed, which use this farm agri residue, and we replace LPG, better heat intensity. We are 35 to 40% cheaper than diesel LPG. We are cleaner because we are carbon neutral, and these are still fossil fuels for LPG and diesel. And this is what now is getting promulgated as a product. Okay, where are we going or heading towards? So all that I spoke till now was using the thermal value. But now where we are moving is the biofuels or bioenergy, where we are going to use the carbon molecule value. And this is where now technology engineering comes into play, where you can use this captured carbon for molecular chemistry. And once you have started playing with the carbon, atom or molecule, then it's a complete shift. So you will replace all that you do with the crude stream, all that you do with the petrochemical stream, with the biomass and biochemical stream. So setting up biorefineries today, you can actually replace fossil fuel, your petrol, diesel, aviation fuel in the same specifications. There is no change in specifications, with fuel streams coming from that photosynthesis carbon. And look at the amount of energy that is going to flow from the farm agriculture residue stream. Yes, there is going to be, there are the large lobbies of crude, coal globally who will not want this to happen immediately. But that's the kind of shift which is happening, or that's the kind of force this new energy is bringing, where these large global majors have now started looking at this form of energy. So 2G ethanol, 3G ethanol, compressed biogas replacement for CNG. I have given you a use case, replacement of fuel, green hydrogen from biomass, biochemicals, biofertilizers, sustainable aviation fuel, combined heat and power plants, biochar, which is one of the most carbon sequester sinks. Again, it's a technological intervention which is happening. And all of this is happening in India and globally. And hence, you not only have the burn value or the thermal value, but now we are moving to the molecular value of this carbon. And what's going to be the mainstay? Supply chain management. Because each of this will need sustainable supply chain management to be built up. Now, carbon credits. You have carbon credits and, for our projects and all of these. So, it's a simple process of, not so simple, but time consuming process of registration and development. But yes, it can be done and it should be done. Briefly, CBI was mentioned. This is the industry body called as Confederation of Biomass Energy Industry of India. I am the founder chairman here. I was guided in by a few ministries and government of India that, the wind, solar, etc., they have large associations and, large bodies and lobbies which work. You should have something on the biomass bioenergy side as well. And that's where we formed this. do visit the website. You will see the who's who names that we have been able to bring to this segment. And, the policy advocacy, regulatory framework, all such work, including for farmers, FPOs, etc., is all done by this organization. Now, this is decentralized renewable energy. It can be set up anywhere because everywhere we have farm agri residue. I've spoken briefly about the environment and health benefits. These are actually documented numbers. 1 kg of biomass uses vis-a-vis 1 kg of CNG, LNG, crude. What's the carbon offset? These numbers are there. Again, it empowers farmers with additional income. It promotes entrepreneurship, financial inclusion. We work only through the banking channel, and hence wherever we are, there is a financial inclusion which happens. And there are equal opportunities for women across our offices. In fact, yesterday my mother coincidentally visited my office, and she visited and she made a remark and said, "There are more women in your office than men." I said, "Yeah, it's a good thing." So opportunities are available in each segment. One can work. Out of the 17 SDGs which are there, Prespel's business model, or this biomass-bioenergy business model, fits to 10 of them, and those are highlighted. I have given you some numbers of the kind of biomass that we use and what is the GHG emission reduction that we are able to achieve, and what is it that we put back into the rural economy through the banking channel for these farmers, VLEs, channel partners that we have. Because of the business model per se itself, we have been very, very, actively awarded almost every year across India, across the world. We are the Mission Innovation Champion out of 30 countries, and so on and so forth. God is kind that the business model per se is itself, and the projects get recognized, get awarded, because ultimately we are delivering for the good, so that's what gets recognized. Jayan, thank you. I'm happy to, take questions and talk more, about what can be done, where it can be done, so that it could be more participative over here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. That was a very insightful talk. And before we move on to question and answer session, I'd like to request the audience to take 30 seconds of your time to answer a quick poll. The purpose of the poll is to understand you a little better so that we can get better curated topics of your interest. And while you take the Q&A, I invite our founder, Srivani Mullapudi Garu, to initiate the Q&A.
No need of Garu.
Okay, ma'am.
Namaste, Colonel. It was a very impressive, inspiring talk by you. In India is always been a place for thousands of centuries to be actually a carbon neutral civilization. In the last 200 years, there have been a lot of practices which are reverse to that. And for people like you who are coming back and saying, hey, listen, we're cutting so many trees. Let's change the way we're cremating our bodies. Let's change the way where we're creating from scratch, from A to Z, the entire value chain for biomass, for creating a whole new system and putting our mark on the world map. A big thank you for it to you.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you.
And to all the audience who are here, thank you. I remember when we first started Vishwa Talks, the environment talks had only around 10 to 20 people coming. And our team would say, no, let's not put any talks on environment. And I said, no, it's because of that I want you all to put a talk almost every second month on environment, because that is the awareness that needs to be built in the society. And today we have more than 100 participants out here, genuine one, people educated, people inquisitive, people who have a passion and a craving for knowledge. Thank you so much to each of you. And with this, we will conclude our talk, and we will, after the talk is completed, for those of you who would like to continue with the question and answer sessions, you should be able to we will take your questions. But I'll just quickly cover the next few talks we are having. Again, the next talk that's coming up on November 9th is on an environment. It's from the organization Gandipet Welfare Society, which is a real inspiration in Hyderabad. They have cleaned up the Gandipet Lake. Mr. Arvind, who's one of the backbones of that society, is coming for a talk. They've also cleaned up a step well. So he's going to talk about what are step wells, how do they contribute to our environment. It's on 9th November 2024. The next talk after that is waste to resource, how communities can lead the way. Sheetal Pankaj, again from Gandipet Welfare Society. They have been working with quite a few communities in Hyderabad on the outskirts towards Gandipet. Around 5 dump sites they have taken from the government, and they are doing a commendable job in ensuring that those communities which are collaborating with them are producing zero waste in our society. So I want each of you to share with your friends and family, because most times Instagram, Facebook blocks most of our ads. So it's important that this moves through word of mouth, and share it with your friends and family who would be interested in knowing about how to make their own community. The second talk that Sheetal is doing, how to make their apartment block, their building, their row houses, their house zero waste, and how it is going to impact us in the long run. It would be good. And with respect to step wells, Telangana and Andhra, I think, have more than 300 step wells created over centuries ago for water preservation. So that, and how inspiring it is that step wells which are filled with tons of wastage are now cleaned up and become community centers. It would be wonderful if all of you all could come. With this, I close the talk. Thank you so much. Thank you to the Vishwa team. Wonderful job you all are doing. Looks like you all don't need me anymore. And then, yes, Gopichand, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your first question?
Yeah,
Please come on video, please.
sure. 1 second.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gopichan. So firstly, Colonel said thank you. It was a really great presentation. You have put a lot of data. I think this is my first presentation, me seeing someone presenting very clearly, and uh, really thank you for the information. So my question is, I was just trying to understand, at the end of the day, everything is everything is a carbonates compound. So even if we combust, I come from an agriculture background, so I understand, that burning it's quite common. I come from Hyderabad, so Telangana also it's quite common to burn all the agri waste. But I'm still trying to understand, even if we burn at the for the power generation, steam and boiler, there are still some tailpipe emissions, or scope 3 emissions or something like that. Are there any plans that to convert this into biogas generation, biogas to some sort of biohydrogen, something like that? And what is the cost associated through pyrolysis or something like this?
Sure, thank you. So you are right in your first statement that burning is going to cost emission. Here the question is, you are burning and replacing for the same energy vis-a-vis a fossil fuel. So coal, LNG, LPG, LDO, furnace oil, and these are highly polluting sulfur-rich fuels which you are replacing with only the carbon component. So if you look at what's actually polluting, the SOx and NOx. So when you're burning biomass, it's only a pure carbon play. You're actually devoid of the SOx and NOx because it's not available even in traces in that biomass. So that's one part. Second, any carbon methodology that you look at, there are two processes. One is abatement and replacement. So in the burning factor, it is about abatement and replacement. What you're also talking about, if you can do let's say compressed biogas, or you can do pyrolysis for syngas, and then use that carbon chemistry. And that's what exactly I talked about towards the end of my presentation, that today the higher value is coming from or going to come from the carbon chemistry. And that's where the technology players come. Burning is the simple part. And that's a replacement value. And get carbon credits also. It is cheaper than fossil fuel because it is highly decentralized and you're able to do it. And that's what has taken off. But in the world and within India as well, we are now shifting to the carbon chemistry. So yes, that is where the focus is. And in that, in terms of price points and values or IRRs, these are commercial models which are very new. And typically, when they are new, all three elements of upstream, midstream, and downstream are market making, which has to happen. And these price points are actually not making sense today. But with the scale coming in, the economies of scale, newer technologies coming in, like you take the solar example, we started at 18-20 rupees and we came to 2 rupee 44 paisa. What changed? Nothing much in terms of technology improvement, scale of manufacturing. So all of it is going to happen in the biofuel side also. Be rest assured. The initial phase could be price competitiveness to come in, but with scale coming, it will actually go down. The second part, and I'll briefly touch upon the energy ROI. To move crude or the present forms of energy that we use, and this is a global number which is available, you should Google and read about it. The energy ROI used to be 1:6, which meant 1 barrel of crude equivalent was spent for 6 barrels of crude equivalent of energy to reach us for use, putting in my car or getting LPG in my house. That was a global number. This has shifted to 2:5, which means we are spending more energy for a lower amount of energy to come to us for consumption. And this is likely to go to 2.5 to 4.5 because the oil wells have gone deeper. The coal we are going deeper to get the coal out. And when you look at the energy we are expending to get energy and you compare it to the decentralized 50-kilometer hub and spoke model of biomass energy, even on the energy ROI matrix itself, you are significantly high on energy efficiency. So these are all statistical tool and numbers which are now known, coming into the gambit. And you are not only going to evaluate what I'm going to burn is what energy, but you're also going to evaluate, because you mentioned scope 2, scope 3, what is it actually in the energy life that it is costing me? And that's mind-boggling in terms of numbers. So it's actually statistical energy science which has now started coming into play to do this. So yes, we will shift to biofuels, we will shift to molecular chemistry. That's where we are going towards with bioenergy. And that's the 75% of the energy basket.
Okay. So our next question is from Vishwanath Raman. Paddy straw catches fires. When the ambience heat increases, how do you control this situation to avoid fire in the storage yards or collection centers?
He's right. These are called as auto-methane fires. Any biodegradable material, when kept, you are going to have methane emission, degradation happening. And at certain temperatures, certain conditions of moisture, auto fires happen. We have also gone through this, and anybody who uses any type of biomass has to, live through this journey. To mitigate it, actually, during such time periods, you need to make that biomass moist. We actually put water. You actually, at use point, you want it to be the lowest in terms of moisture content. But in storage, we actually use water to keep it moist so that you can mitigate such methane and prevent such fires at those temperature points. So it's a hazard, it's a problem. And that's where I said, in terms of storage mechanisms, we need to get better storage, warehousing, better processes to come in. And that needs capital allocation, that needs capital. So with the advancement happening, such capital allocations are also coming. Government has stepped up. Such biomass storage today, you can do warehousing in rural India, and you can dip into the agriculture infrastructure fund, which is 1,10,000 crores for infrastructure development and building, even for paddy straw or any other farm agri residue. So a lot of schemes and subsidies are now available, It's about the knowledge to get to know about it and dip into it, but it can be done.
Shmel, could you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. I very enjoyed from this presentation. And I want to ask you a question. How biogas and biomass can support improvement social and economic well-being?
Thank you for your question, Shamil. So I'll give you a simple answer. 60% of the energy cost value is paid through the banking channel in the value network. So, what yardstick do you want to say is the social improvement? It could be health, it could be environment, it could be, a medical cost bill reduction. But how do you kind of derive it? So we keep it actually simple. We use the philosophy everywhere. KISS, keep it sweet and simple. So what does change? How much money has gone back into the farmer's bank account, the VLEs bank account, the channel partners bank account, in the transportation network, in the storage network? So the answer there is, and now we are doing it at scale, 60% of the business top line volume in our case goes back to the various partners in their bank accounts. And that's the simple takeaway of how you can audit it. That's one. The second is the simple audit matrix is the CO2 mitigation or the CO2 abatement. So that's also a number which I put out in the last slide. These are two matrices that we kind of report out.
How much percentage of farmers are, the Indian economy is dependent on the agricultural economy?
So, but if you look at the GDP numbers, and we are an agrarian country, almost 70% of our GDP is agriculture-based numbers. Now, but here the numbers are all on the produce, on the grain, on the cotton. Nothing is, kind of getting contributed from the agriculture residue stream. But what I'm saying is that you're actually going to do a much bigger agriculture linked economy development, because you're taking industrialization back into the rural areas. We are actually taking every industry into the rural area, and thereby you are bringing industrialization there. So the economic. So I'll give you a project 42. You can note it down. It's available. You can download it. That's what I had presented to the Prime Minister's office, to the G20, etc. If we use, and it's called Project 42 because of 42 million metric tons of rice paddy straw which burns in North India. Now, if you use this 42 million metric tons, and there are 11 sub-projects of where it can be used as use case of this rice paddy straw, it's a $30 billion investment which is required. In terms of the multiplier effect into three, a $90 billion economic multiplier in 3 states of Punjab, Haryana, and Western UP or UP. You imagine a $1 trillion economy to be built up where there is nothing today, or maybe a 1-2% around rice paddy straw only. And this is 42 million metric ton. India's farm agri residue data is today, what is available for economic use is upwards of 1,500 million metric ton. You look at the, we're talking about India being a $5 trillion economy. Only with energy use from farm agri residue, we could be a couple of, trillions of dollars of economy. So it's a shift which is going to happen and it will come.
So, Shmel, what I understand is you were asking about the socio-economic situation. In India, one of the reasons that there is poverty in the cities is because of the migration that comes from villages. If, as Colonel says, the kind of industry that can be developed in the villages is in billions of dollars, this migration can come down even by a certain percentage. It can.
It will happen. And that's where I said the reverse migration. It's not only stopping migration, but today, and we see it, I'm in 21 states, people actually go back to their hometowns because we are providing them a job there. And we are providing them a skilled job there. It could be supply chain management. It could be operation of the assets. It could be downstream in the energy side. And since these are skilled jobs, they prefer to go back to their own areas. So reverse migration is happening.
Yeah. So the next question is from Major Harsh Vardhan. Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Jai Hind, first of all, I would like to thank Colonel Ahuja for an insightful talk today. Sir, if you remember, we had an interaction earlier also for IIM Mumbai Business Conclave.
Yes, I do recall, yes.
So my question is, during last 1 month after my retirement from the army, I am associated with Pahar Trust based in Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh. This trust is working towards upliftment of small farmers in the hill state of Himachal. So during my work with this organization, I have observed that Himachal has abundance of biomass in the form of pine needles, which are a major cause of forest fire. So I want to ask, does Prel have any plans to come to Himachal Pradesh to establish any plant to convert this biomass in biochar and help these small farmers?
So Harsh, the answer is yes. We have looked at this model very diligently. The use case of such biomass, or collecting it in hill terrain and hill area requires heavy duty a large number of labor workflows. Getting mechanization on hill slopes is a difficult task. And the numbers there, if you start densifying it, don't stack up to the replacement value. So the commercial values don't stack up. But if you are looking at a biochar project, yes, it makes sense because you can do decentralized biochar projects, and such biochar then has the carbon sequester value which can be put back into the soil, and you have high credit values ranging in the range today between $80-90 going up to projects which even have $180-190 on such carbon credits. So the carbon sequester side is actually not replacement, but is a project where you are actually making carbon sinks. And on the carbon capture, storage, utilization, biochar is the new gold, so to say. Prel has only last week formed, and we've been working on this for 2 years, Biochar India. Since you asked me this question, in the next week to 10 days, you would see the formal announcement across multiple channels. And Biochar India will utilize biomass, set up these projects, generate biochar and apply it to farm fields. So it will be a fully integrated model of carbon sequester. And yes, we can support and work around what you want to do in Himachal Pradesh.
Okay. Our next question is from Mr. Hemant Singh.
Just also, Harsh, we did a project there for eco-cremation in a confluence of 3 rivers, which is there in Himachal Pradesh, which is also one of the global places where a lot of fishing happens. Global people go there for fishing for, various types. And there, the local villagers were actually doing cremation on based on wood on this confluence, and partly cremated bodies would be flowing in the river streams. And we got to know of this. We supported a young boy, a 12th grade boy who had gone there for fishing, and he came back to us. We actually supported it and invested close to 10 lakh rupees and set up the entire ecosystem with such eco-cremation in that place in Himachal Pradesh.
What process do you all use for cremation?
So we use these briquettes in the cremation pyre that I had shown, and instead of wood, you replace it with briquettes for that cremation.
Okay. So Hemant Singh has a question. As it has been tested, energy supply by compressed biomass is immediate and not sustained calorie/thermal value over time. What method can be used to have sustained energy delivery while burning? Example, 1 kilo of briquette. 1 kilo of pellet or briquette, it supplies energy and turns to ash. If I want to slow down the speed of burning and make it a simmering fire, how do we go about it?
2 parts to the question, if I understand correctly. One part is in terms of the compressed biogas. Does it have that replacement value? Does it have that calorific value? The answer is yes, it has. There is no change in the specification when we are replacing compressed biogas with CNG. Now, once you produce compressed biogas, it is done through the anaerobic digestion route, and this is a bacterial route. And in this, you have gas which is generated, but the gas is in a composition which needs to be upgraded for the CNG levels. And as per the norms or specifications, 96.4% or higher methane content in the final gas is CNG. Thus, once you do the anaerobic digestion route, you produce methane gas along with other gases. And now you do the gas upgradation, H2S removal, CO2 removal, CO removal, and take in the final gas the methane percentage above 96.4. And technologies are available and running in India where it is upwards of 99%. You replace CNG for transportation. This same gas today also gets injected in the gas pipeline, and hence it's the same. There's no change. What you can also do is at a lower percentage of methane, replace what you call as the LPG. And there also you have a replacement fuel for LPG. Thereby, through the pipe networks, it is the same. But in this also, you would have gas which is cleaner and cheaper than the LPG option. Obviously, you'll need to set up bottling plant or you have a pipe network for it to flow. So no change there. Even if you're doing the liquid molecules, no change. It is the same molecule, just that the origination of carbon is different. The second question is around the thermal value or the burn value. The thermal value and burn value is based on the input. So if I'm using rice paddy straw, it has a calorific value, and the densified briquette or pellet will have a calorific value. And I will have to make my technology in the boiler for the flow rate of oxygen, for the burning, the grate size, etc., to be commensurate, that I can extract the maximum thermal value in the shortest period of time, vis-a-vis a coal or a LD or a furnace oil. So technology is available which we use, which is highly efficient. In fact, my boilers are about 22% more efficient than the conventional coal boilers. And we extract the maximum burning out of this biomass so that we get the maximum yardstick to judge that is the specific fuel ratio, SFR. So you burn it, the residual time should be the lowest, the burn efficiency should be the highest, maximum carbon should have got burned, and in the ash, actually you should get unburnt carbon, no unburnt carbon. It should actually be completely burnt out. That is achieved in the technologies, yes. And you can adjust the burning rate. There's no problem, because that is a function of the flow of oxygen that you're going to have. So actually, when we burn in boilers, we can take the biomass moisture levels to as high as 30-35% in the initial phase. And the first phase of our great design is bringing that moisture level down from 30-35% to actually zero for burning it. And then the balance of the grate, you burn it completely. So you can tinker with the technology, and it's easily available. There's no kind of problem around it.
Mr. Ramana, would you like to ask a question?
Hi, Monish.
Hi, sir. Jayan, sir.
Congratulations.
Good to see you here,
Excellent
sir.
talk.
And thank you for shifting your program.
Yeah. So I just wanted to understand, let us say we have like these villages in Punjab, which are mostly growing rice paddy. Now, if you were to set up a plant per village, a village with about 1,000 acres of paddy, what sort of plant would be required and what is the capex involved?
So, sir, typically per acre of land, you would get 3 tons of rice paddy straw yield. This is the variety which is rampantly, grown across Punjab, Haryana.
Okay.
Now, if you said 1,000 acres, you have about into 3, so that's the rice paddy straw which is available. A commercial scale plant. So I have a 100% rice straw briquetting plant, sir. A typical size there would be 50 tons / 100 tons of output per day. And that would entail about another 20% more of biomass required, because it comes at a higher moisture and you reduce it and bring it out. So for 100 ton per day output, I need about 120 tons per day of input into 300 days of operation. So that's the number, sir. So I need about 40,000 tons of rice paddy straw. Now you look at the number which you put forward, sir, of 1,000 acres into 3. So you're getting 3,000 tons of rice paddy straw. Whereas a plant, which I'm talking about 100 tons per day output, requires 40,000 tons of rice paddy straw. So typically I will need 10 such villages for one project to come up.
And what would the capex be?
A capex for a 50 ton per day densification plant would be between 5 to 6 crores. And these are highly proper factory plants. I'm not talking about putting a shed and just starting off. But most of them are in such format across India in terms of mom and pop shops, not conforming to the EHS standard. But if you have to do EHS standards, firefighting, proper storage, proper yardsticks to be followed, then 5 to 6 crores for a 50 ton per day plant. Going up to 100 tons, there is some economy of scale. You would be able to do it between 7 to 8 crores. Government of India provides 14 lakhs per TPH as a subsidy grant. If this is set up as a biomass briquetting or pelleting plant, this number is being increased. In fact, it is significantly going to be increased very soon.
So that particular farmer who's burning, who owns, say, let us say 100-acre farm, what does he earn from it? Or he doesn't earn, he just has a clean method of dispatching.
No, sir. So today when he's burning, he spends about 500 to 600 rupees per acre. He brings diesel, 2 labors, burns it in the night. That's the money he spends. Because to dispose it, he has to spend that money. Vis-a-vis, if he becomes a VLE, a village level entrepreneur, to start aggregating, and not every farmer would become a VLE because their land holdings are typically small today. So group of them get together, 8, 10 of them. We provide the equipment, the government provides, they also have their own equipment now, and they work. And per season, average one set of equipment, you do about 2,500 tons. And per ton today, the price has stabilized at about 2,500 rupees. So getting into the fields, aggregating this biomass, bringing it to storage, which is in a hub and spoke model of 10 to 15 kilometers, and delivering it, you get 2,500 rupees per ton. And per season, you're doing 2,500 tons, sir. So it's significant money which a farmer or a VLE makes. So this is, I just did the numbers, sir. This is 62 lakhs 50,000 rupees in a 45-day period that a VLE makes. And Haryana government is paying 2,500 rupees per ton to the farmers for not burning and delivering this. Similarly, these models, so the price points have got established. So, sir, 60 lakh rupees, even if you take within a group of 10 young youth as VLE, in a 32 to 45-day period, in your village, around a waste stream is significant money.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, our next question is from Dr. Rajesh Arora. Please unmute and come on to. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, please.
First of all, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Wonderful presentation, wonderful information from your side.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And if you look at the data of total installed capacity in India for September, that is available on the public domain, the total installed capacity is 464 gigawatt, and out of that, the contribution is renewable is around 33%. And in the renewable energy, the contribution of bioenergy is 7%. What I feel, still there is a potential to grow that bioenergy, and you are already doing you have already done wonderful job. You are doing wonderful job also for other states also. And what I feel, we should develop that technology for other states also, and we have to get the benefit of the all potential available in India, so that the COP26 promise we have already made, Panch Amrit, should be fulfilled by doing some encouraging that bioenergy in India. This is my aspect.
Thank you, Dr. Rajesh. You are right. The numbers you give again are of gigawatt electric. And that's where I said, while we will continue to focus there, or we are focusing there, it's not going to move our aspirations to that level. We will be capped in the 25% only. and I need to move that higher. And that is going to come from the molecule side of the 75%. Now, if I have to do that, taking that 464 gigawatt to 1000 gigawatt, and out of that renewable to be 500 gigawatt, from the solar side or the wind side, it costs me 3 rupees per unit. But if I have to do electricity from biomass, it costs me close to 8 rupees per unit. So do I need to do that? For the electricity segment is the question we have to ask. It can be done. Technology is there, absolutely proven, no problem. But having said that, our grid problems, the grid stability problems because of such high quantum of solar and wind now coming in has opened up newer segments which are what we call as the RE-RTC, renewable energy round the clock. And how are we attempting to do RE-RTC? There are two ways. One is battery storage. The second is pumped hydro, right?
Pumped hydro, you're right.
But if you look at the cost of RE-RTC, and these are public tenders which are now started happening, this is in the range of about 5 rupees per unit. RE-RTC numbers. Maybe they will go down as well. And now if I start looking at doing RE-RTC with biomass instead of pumped hydro and battery storage, my number is actually lower. And hence, now in the tenders, you will see combination of biomass with wind, with solar starting to come up as RE-RTC. Only one caveat which government needs to support. Not where wind or solar is there, let's say Gujarat, Rajasthan or Tamil Nadu or states, biomass is there. So you need to allow interstate transmission to be allowed for such tenders. And that's the only bit which needs to be kind of tweaked in the policy. And I see that happening soon because, people like us and in the interaction, this is known. So we will see biomass electricity also coming back significantly, and it's happening. We are in conversation with large corporates across India to set up biomass IPPs, independent power plants, in group capital stage where they would have, let's say between 26 to 50% equity, so that the benefits of 100% RE-RTC can be available. So it's coming back. You are right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Insightful presentation from your side.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Shushi Tiwari, please. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you.
Madam, I'm not able to hear you. Maybe you need to unmute yourself or check your connection, please.
Jayant Bombasani, would you like to continue your question?
Hello, namaste, everyone.
Yes.
Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. First of all, I have two questions today. First, I am coming from Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, which is between Krishna and Godavari Delta. So I'm also a natural farmer here. I like see many people growing rice and burning them in the farms. I and my friends are like interested in setting such business, like converting it into briquettes and such stuff, but like it's a huge scale industry, so we are like unable to bring such funds. So anyway, we want to like be a part of it and do some good by being a third party person who can collect this stuff and give it to big companies like you. And like for doing that, like what machinery can we focus on buying and small things we can invest in, so that we can be a good third party consultant to your such companies. And the second question is the waste problem in like Andhra Pradesh, it has been like very hazardous for the past 5 years, like the segregation and the dump yards and have been growing in stockpiles. I've seen the HTL and HTR technologies, like they use the liquid to process everything. So are these technologies helpful like in converting this into some bioenergy, and are those help because the waste won't be graded much and most of it is will be in the decomposed state? Is there like any solution to that problem? Like can it be made in some somewhat useful stuff? Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Jayant, on your first part, money or capital is only one of the functions of any business that you're going to set up. Nobody is going to give you money first to set up business. It will never happen. An idea, a concept, a team build up, working around what you want to do, a business plan, putting that into process and motion is more important. And capital is important. It will come. It will come, by virtue of at the correct time, correct place. You will have to move out to source that capital with, in a crude way, selling yourself or selling your concept, going and meeting the people who are willing to put capital behind entrepreneurs, startups, who are willing to do good. And the business model makes sense. I do the business, and many more are doing this business. Just to also tell you, there are children of cabinet ministers who are presently there, secretaries, bureaucrats who are presently there, who we support, who have started in this business segment and are actually my competition today. And each of them, treat us like guru or, your friends, whatever. So I told you there's 1,500 million metric tons. What am I using? 300,000 tons, 3 lakh tons. Even my lifetime, I keep doing this, it's not going to finish. So start, there's no problem. So that's one aspect. The second is in terms of, the waste profile. The waste profile, wherever it is available, it could be rural, it could be cities, has a value of a process. And today technologies are available for that value extraction to happen. Commercially, at what point does it make sense is a question to ask. And that's where you will have to work. If you want to do gas as a product, yes, it is available. Right from a scale where you can do it in your backyard for your house to large scale where you can do it for city as well. So where do you want to find yourself? You'll have to position yourself. But my proposition would be start small. If you are a group of people who want to work, come together, brainstorm, get ideas, come meet us, meet people like us, and start small. And we also started small. Today, if you call me a large company, well, I might differ with that. But, we started small 11, 12 years back with the concept idea. Today, we have more than 300 full-time employees. We have more than 1,000 network of VLE and CPs. It has not happened in one day. And we continue to have the problem statement every day. By the way, it doesn't change. So, you'll have to be at it. And if you're passionate about it, take it from me, it will happen.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
జయంత్
Yep.
ఇవాళ మన పల్లెటూర్ల వైపుకి వెళ్తే దుఃఖం వేస్తుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఊరు లోపలికి వెళ్లే ముందే డంప్ యార్డ్ కనిపిస్తుంది. ఇలాంటి డంప్ యార్డ్స్ మీరు అడ్రస్ చేయాలంటే మీలాంటి కుర్రోళ్ళు ఒక విలేజ్ తీసుకోండి. దానికి మీకు కావాల్సిన టెక్నాలజీ కనెక్ట్ చేస్తుంది మనుషుల్ని. మీకు కావాల్సిన ఎవరి దగ్గర నుంచి ఎట్లా చేయాలో వీఆర్ రెడీ టు కనెక్ట్ యూ. ఆ ప్యాషన్ మీకుంటే మీకు హెల్ప్ చేసే వాళ్ళు 100 మంది ఉంటారు.
Thank you, ma. Get in touch.
Yeah. Vikas, would you
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Hello,
Vikas
sir.
ji.
Sir, first of all, I would like to thank Vishwa Foundation for choosing perfect person for this topic, because you are very expert in this field, and I have seen your plant in Punjab. Your team is working very hard and efficiently. Sir, I am from Rajasthan. So,
Yes, Vikas ji.
सर इन राजस्थान मतलब बहुत सारे ब्रिकेट प्लांट्स आ रहे हैं, पर जितने जल्दी आ रहे हैं वो बंद भी हो रहे हैं. यहाँ मतलब 5-6 रुपए में भी ब्रिकेट बेचने का बड़ा चैलेंज है राजस्थान में.
विकास जी, आप जो बोल रहे हैं बिल्कुल ठीक है, क्योंकि राजस्थान में जो इनपुट मटेरियल है वो मस्टर्ड और मस्टर्ड स्टॉक है, और वो एक बहुत अच्छा मटेरियल है, बिल्कुल ड्राई फॉर्म में आता है. जो ब्रिकेट प्लांट या ब्रिकेट मशीन लगा लिए, या आप जो बोल रहे हैं लगते हैं और बंद भी हो जाते हैं, वो इसलिए है बिकॉज जैसे मैंने बोला, पूरा वैल्यू चेन सोच के नहीं लगाते हैं. लगा लिया और सोचते हैं कि बिक जाएगा, ऐसे नहीं होता. कोई भी कमोडिटी, कोई भी प्रोडक्ट मार्केट डायनामिक से ही चलेगी. और खरीदार जो है बेस्ट प्रोडक्ट चाहता है सबसे लोएस्ट कॉस्ट में. तो एक एक एस्पिरेशन पूरी वैल्यू चेन की मीट करनी पड़ेगी। तो जो आप जैसे ब्रिकेट की बात कर रहे हैं जो राजस्थान में 5 से 6 रुपए में है, मेरा भी राजस्थान में 100 टन का पर डे का प्लांट है चूरू में। आप पंजाब
अच्छा,
की
ये
बात
सब
कर रहे
पता
हैं
है।
लेकिन मार्केट डेवलपमेंट भी साथ में होना है। तो अपस्ट्रीम आप बायोमास ले आए, आपने मिडस्ट्रीम ब्रिकेटिंग प्लांट लगा लिया, लेकिन डाउनस्ट्रीम मार्केट कौन बना के देगा? सो कॉम्बिनेशन में तीनों साथ में होना है। और आज जो है जैसे मैंने आपको बोला बहुत टेक्नोलॉजी प्लेटफॉर्म्स आ गई हैं जिस पे आप एज अ मैन्युफैक्चरर जा सकते हैं, वो आपका प्रोडक्ट बेचने के लिए सहूलियत दे रहे हैं और वो ट्रेड भी करा के दे रहे हैं। और अगर आप जैसे मैंने बोला हमारे चैनल पार्टनर्स हैं अक्रॉस इंडिया, हमारे पास मार्केट भी है। हम एक कंपनी है जो हमारे बॉयलर्स भी हैं, हम बॉयलर्स चलाते भी हैं, तो हमारे पास मार्केट भी है। तो वी आर हैप्पी टू कोलैबोरेट। हम ब्रिकेट किसी से भी खरीदने के लिए तैयार है बिकॉज हमारा मार्केट बढ़ रहा है, आपका भी बढ़ रहा है। तो हमारे बहुत चैनल पार्टनर्स ऐसे हैं जो फोकस करते हैं मिडस्ट्रीम प्रोडक्शन में, लेकिन मार्केट में जाना, बड़े बड़े क्लाइंट्स के पास जाना, टेंडर भरना, वो नहीं कर पाते हैं, नहीं करना चाहते हैं बोथ वेज। तो वो फिर फोकस अपना मिडस्ट्रीम में रहते हैं। हमारी जैसी कंपनियां, टेक प्लेटफॉर्म्स जो दूसरे हैं, वो मार्केट मेकिंग के काम में आ गए। तो बहुत सारे बिजनेस मॉडल्स इवॉल्व हो रहे हैं और होते रहेंगे। आप चैनल पार्टनर बनना चाहते हैं, आपने हमारे प्लांट विजिट किए हैं, मोस्ट वेलकम। हमारे लोग फिर आपसे ब्रिकेट लेना शुरू कर लेंगे, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
बिल्कुल सर, एक दूसरा मेरा क्वेश्चन है, जैसे मेरा एरिया के हरियाणा के टच में है और हम अभी पेडी बेस्ड पैलेट प्लांट लगाना चाह रहे हैं। थोड़ा टेक्नोलॉजी वाइज मतलब जिसकी भी मशीन देखें हाईटेक की जैसे आप यूज कर रहे हो, सब में ब्रेक डाउन है, क्योंकि मतलब पैडी को हैंडल करना एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। तो इसके लिए क्या टेक्नोलॉजी सजेस्ट करोगे आप?
विकास जी आप ठीक बोल रहे हैं, पैडी स्ट्रॉ में बहुत हाई सिलिका कंटेंट होता है और उसकी वजह से इसके मशीन के जो पार्ट्स हैं बहुत जल्दी अब्रेसिव ब्रेक डाउन हो जाते हैं। अगर एक डाई या एक पार्ट, कंप्रेशन प्रेसेस हैं, ये 2000 घंटे चलने चाहिए फेलियर से पहले, पैडी स्ट्रॉ के साथ में 100, 150, 200 घंटे में ही फेल हो जाते हैं 10% पे। तो हमने पिछले 3 साल में एक प्रोजेक्ट किया है गवर्नमेंट की मल्टीपल एजेंसीज के साथ, टेरी, पंजाब साइंस काउंसिल, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेटलर्जिकल रिसर्च, पंजाब एग्रीकल्चर यूनिवर्सिटी और एक और गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है। 5 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, हमारी कंपनी छठी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जहां पर हमने मेटलर्जिकल पार्ट्स, डाइज वगैरह पे पिछले 3 साल में काम किया है। और ये जो 200 घंटे का फेलियर है, आज ये बढ़ के 1000, 1200 घंटे हो गया है। तो आप जब टेक्नोलॉजी के लिए जाते हैं, आपने एक नाम लिया हाईटेक या कोई भी और नाम, वो आपको अच्छा प्लांट, अच्छा पेंटेड प्लांट, अच्छा चमकता हुआ प्लांट दिखता है, बट जब आप यूज करना शुरू करते हैं फेलियर रेट्स आर वेरी हाई। तो आपके उसके हार्ट में मेटलर्जी जो है उसको डेवलप करके उसको इंप्रूव करना है। एंड यू आर राइट, जो एक प्लांट लगा रहा है उसके पास वो समय नहीं है या वो टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं है या वो बैंडविड्थ नहीं है कि वो ये सारी चीजें देखे, वो प्लांट चलाएगा कि मेटलर्जी करेगा। तो आप हमारे को कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, ये इंस्टीट्यूट्स के मैंने आपको नाम लिए, इनको कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं एंड गो फॉर करेक्ट डाइज। तो आप इंश्योर करिए कि जिसको आप ऑर्डर दे रहे हैं उनसे इंश्योर करिए कि जो डाइज हैं, कंप्रेशन प्रेसेस हैं, वो उस मेटलर्जिकल पार्ट से बने ताकि आपकी मशीन ज्यादा चले।
ओके सर, एंड सर वन मोर, मतलब
We should
अभी
close
समर।
now.
ओके ओके मैम, थैंक
विकास
यू
जी
सर।
ऑफलाइन आप कांटेक्ट कर सकते हैं, मैंने चैट बॉक्स में अपना ईमेल और मोबाइल नंबर डाल दिए हैं, यू ऑल
सर
कैन
मेरे
प्लीज
पास
कांटेक्ट।
आपका
Chat box में है आपका, contacts are in the chat box. Yes, Dilip Kumar ji.
Yes.
Yes. Please ask your question.
Yeah, myself from Jindal Steel and Power. My question is, the use of a biochar is a form and biocoke in our steel industries. Is there any research or any setup you are having in India, sir?
Dilip Kumar ji, the answer is yes. Biochar India, as I said, we have formed. The company is already formed. We are also in engagement with your organization and multiple more steel companies, Tata Steel, AMNS, JSW, etc. Everybody for this biochar requirement. We are fully understand the specifications which are needed by the steel industry for the PCI coal replacement. And the answer is yes, it can be done.
What is the silica content?
Sorry?
Silica content?
Dilip Kumarji, that will be basis on the input. So if you are going to use rice paddy straw, it will be higher. If you are going to use other biomass like cotton stalks, corn cob, corn stover, it is significantly lower. So the aim is to deliver the metallurgical coal replacement, PCI coal replacement to the nearest values, and we fully understand those values, and that work is being done. I would request you to send us an email. My colleagues who are working on this will be happy to engage to provide you, the specifications that you need, at what scale and size it can happen, and we can have that conversation. But the answer to your question is yes, it is possible to do. The challenge today is ultimately at the price point of replacement. So that's something which will need to be addressed.
One more input I want to give you, sir. At the Chhattisgarh, in our adjacent area of our plant location in Raigad, we are having only the paddy's rice husk and paddy straw is available.
That's right.
Which is contain highly rice, silica content.
That's right. But that's
Then
not
how
a
could you
problem.
manage it?
That's not a problem because in the pre-treatment of biomass, and let's say rice paddy straw specifically, before it goes into the pyrolysis plant, that is taken care of. So I'll request you please to travel to Mumbai, outskirts of Mumbai. We have our R&D facility with our partner, and you can visit and see such products being developed over there.
Okay. So you are telling that during the process of pyrolysis, the silica will get reduced, sir.
That's right. That's before that, in the pre-processing itself.
Okay, sir. Because it contains about 65%. So how much is your competence, sir?
Dilip ji, if I give you the solution now, you would actually if you actually set up, you will set up this plant for silica and not for that. The value of silica from the rice paddy straw, the rice husk, ash, and even such pyrolysis plants to set up silica-based plants. And that silica today is significantly higher. So you will actually set up the project for silica and not for biochar. And that silica is going right from tire grade to food grade silica. So again, there are young startup companies which have in the journey of last 7-8 years, we are working closely with them. There are commercial silica manufacturing plants in India which are happening from rice paddy straw and rice husk, and such silica is being bought by tire companies, food companies, cosmetic companies at very high prices, even getting exported. So it is meritorious case to look at silica independently and not even at biochar.
Very good, sir. Very good, sir. One more thing.
No, you should.
We are having.
Please
Okay,
contact.
then I will. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Mariji,
Thank you.
please
Okay. Thank
continue
you.
your question. This will be the last question. We'll have to close the call now. We were not able to hear you.
Ma'am, she put in the chat box. Her query is how can we use it in college campus because huge amount of leaves are available.
So you can do small size biodigesters. Companies like Systema Bio are in India. They have more than 7,000 plants, which are established. They will be able to help you single stop, support from the subsidy element to everything there. You can, set up such biodigesters. You even would be having in your college, some food waste, etc., which can be used. And such gas which is produced can be fired in an engine for electricity or can be used for cooking purpose as well. Secondly, the similar model I had shown, the Goa plant. So we work in a PPP mode with government of Goa, where the municipal corporation, all the tree fellings, garden fellings across Goa are brought to our plant. We process it and manufacture briquettes out of that. And those briquettes are taken into boilers within Goa itself. So a complete circular loop which is done. So similar scale and size, it can be done.
What is the minimum amount of wastage that comes that you can do?
So average for a commercial scale, you should look at 30-40 tons per day.
Okay. Thank you. With this, we close the talk. Thank you so much, Colonel Ahuja ji. You've been so patient, and this is you're an inspiration and a motivation to many people. We've come here to hear you. Once again, thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I really appreciate Vishwa Talks inviting me. Thank you, Shivani ji and your team. Thank you, Jai Hind. Have a good day.
Thank you. Must thank Meena ji for suggesting you to come on this thing.
Really appreciate that.
And thank you to the Vishwa Talks team and to all our audience. With this, we shall close down the talk.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I request you to join in the breakout room. The link will be available on your screen.
Radhika, you want me to join also?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So thanks to all the audience who have joined today's talk, and I would like to thank our speaker. And for more information on biomass and bioenergy, you can reach out to info@prespel.com. Speaker contact details and other links are available in the chat box, which will be open for next 10-15 minutes. Lastly, you can take a moment to subscribe to Vishwa Talks to get alerts on new and exciting talks, events, and access to whole Vishwa community. Thank you. See you all in next Vishwa Talk.
Thank you. Thank you, madam. Madam, one thing, can I get this presentation for our use? Hello?